Rejoice in the Lord always. Again I say rejoice. These are the words of St. Paul. St. Paul, though, wrote these in some very challenging times. There had been a famine that had impoverished the initial church in Jerusalem and Judea. The Emperor Claudius had kicked out Jews out of Rome, and at that point many Christians were still considered themselves Jews. In fact, Paul even is in prison when he writes these letters. So whether we're looking to the church or to nature or the government in 50 AD, the early church faced numerous threats. Yet in spite of all that, Paul continues, "Finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things." Wow. It's fair to say that in 2020, we find ourselves in some challenging times. And if I look at my cell phone, there's all sorts of reasons why I could be severely discouraged. Yet this season, this year, we're going to do something different for, really, I'd say even countercultural for our fall theme of preaching and teaching. And that is we're going to focus and give thanks to God and choose to live in hope. Last weekend, we planted all of these trees as a sign of our hope in God's faithfulness and in the future of this church and of this community. There's a couple ways in which we invite you into this season of Thanksgiving. The first is that we sent out postcards to everybody. And with it, we'd invite you just to write a note thanking somebody in the church for an act of kindness, of care, of support that you've received this past year. Again, we want to be thanking God for each other and letting each other know the way in which we've been impacting each other this year. We also do have pledge cards, always a sign of our faithfulness and trust in God. But again, we know that this year there's a lot of economic uncertainty for people. But either way, you can drop both of these off at church during worship. You can mail them to us. Or if you have a thank you note, you can just mail it to the person. And if you have more thank yous than you have cards, just keep writing them. Just send them off, email, text, call, whatever. Again, we want to dwell in thankfulness. Lastly, we have some small groups that are running, and they're going to be looking at Paul's letters through this lens of thankfulness and the bold choice to live in hope and to live in Christ. So again, early church faced all sorts of challenges, and Paul commended them as I commend you to rejoice in the Lord. Again, I say, rejoice.